Hello, welcome back to Bumplove. As we continue to commemorate the World Cerebral Palsy Day, we have today with us on Bumplove Dorothy Kisarale, a single mother of two. Her youngest child, who is almost 2, little Harvey, is a victim of cerebral palsy. And we have her here today to share with us her experiences. Welcome to the show, Dorothy.
Thank you, Pumla. Thank you, ladies.
Good to have you.
Good to have you.
Because
too.
you know we met your mama.
Yes.
She made us really happy.
did.
Yeah, so we are happy to see you.
Happy to finally be here.
Yeah. So Dorothy, it was enlightening. In the previous episode, we spoke to a specialist who has dealt with cerebral palsy victims. I've been told it's okay to call them victims. It's the proper word. Okay, to cerebral palsy victims. And it's nice to have you here because you give us a more personal touch, I feel, through your experience, through little Harvey. So my question to you would be, how did you first know or discover or realize that your son, there was something not all right with your son?
First of all, I keep emphasizing there are primary causes and secondary causes. Primary causes, those ones are born with. Yes. The mother finds out that the child has a brain damage right from the womb. Okay. But now Harvey was born normally, Harvey was fine, everything was good. And I had a normal birth. So I had Harvey 4th Jan 2019. It was a Friday. So Saturday morning, I was discharged. So, but before we went home, I remember when I took him for that first shot, that polio shot they give orally, the nurse told me, you need to put this baby under the sun. The eyes seem to have just a slight yellowness. So I thought, okay, because my first child had jaundice. Yeah. And I thought, I have experience with this, should be fine. Exclusive breastfeeding, and sun, morning, evening, yes, they should be fine. But Harvey's was different. Harvey's jaundice manifested before Harvey made 24 hours. If a pediatrician had noticed, had inquired, what time did you have this child? 3 p.m. Friday. So this is Saturday morning and child has jaundice signs. It's not yet 3 p.m. So ideally what should have happened, and they should have taken Harvey to through phototherapy. Yes. So that the jaundice comes out. Harvey would have been a fine baby. Yeah. Yeah. But because of someone's negligence somewhere, I was discharged. So of course as a mother, I'm not a medic. I thought, we're well. We went home. Sun, morning, evening should be fine. So day 1, day 2, day 3 is when I noticed something is not adding up. First of all, that morning, I remember because it was morning, I remember I said, this baby hasn't slept from, I think it was around 5 a.m. I fed him. So I thought I should be going back to sleep maybe in an hour. He fell to sleep 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I said something is not adding up. So of course, like most of us, when I'd have my children, I go to my mom's home. Yeah. So I went, I told her, since 5 the baby has failed to sleep. It is 9.
Was he
surely
fussy, crying?
He was not fussy. Okay, he would cry a bit, but it wasn't even that loud cry. Yeah. So I kept thinking, Mrs. is not crying heavily like the previous 2 days. Let me leave and see. So even my mother kept saying, he'll sleep. Maybe he's not a sleeper. Yes. I said, okay, so I tried to breastfeed. Now, the real telltale signs for me to go to the hospital came at about 10. I tried to breastfeed and he failed to swallow. That's when I realized something is not right. So I told my mother something is not right. He has failed to swallow. I actually had to tilt him to remove everything that had gone in. So now I said, the child hasn't, now I was even panicking because he's definitely hungry. He's not crying, the cry is not loud. He has failed to sleep. So now I called the dad. I told him, you know what, come and pick us up. We take the child to a hospital. Something is not adding up. So even us in our, at first when we thought it's not something serious. So I said, let's go to Lifelink in Tinda. We went to Lifelink. Now, reaching on the way between Gaza, because my mom was in Gaza at that time, on the way between Gaza and Lifelink in Tinda, something else happened. I realized his head kept going backwards. I'm like, what's this? So I would push it, and then it keeps going back. I'm like, no, this is not. So at some point when I kept bringing it back, it failed to go back, failed to come back. Now it had become stiff from this.
Oh, wow.
So I reached Lifelink with his head like this. So when I got to Lifelink, the jaw had also dropped. Now, of course, all of us know, even without being medics, that when a jaw drops, it's a wrap. Because even when the jaw dropped, I kept doing.
But it wouldn't go back.
I feared. That's when I called my mother. I told her, you know what, I think I'm losing a child. But we're on the way to the hospital. So we reached the hospital, the lines. I told him, please, this is a 3-day-old. I need some sort of attention. Please, please, I beg. It was a Monday, 7th Jan. So I said, please, give me first priority. It's a 3-day-old, doesn't look good. I don't. So they took me to, the lady was kind enough, took me to see the pediatrician. Of course, at the pediatrician's, I found a line. I said, please, allow her see my child first. They're also kind parents. That time, they let me go in. Now, when I presented the child to the pediatrician, she said nothing. I'm forever indebted to that pediatrician. She said nothing to us. She had no time to explain. We just had, hello, reception, please find an ambulance, oxygen line. Rush the child somewhere. She did all this time. She hasn't asked what's the name of the baby. What happened? Nothing. She rushed the child out. That's when I broke down and cried. I said, now this is serious. So now the whole time I'm wailing, calling everyone in my phone who I know prays, please pray, pray, pray. You remember I'm a new mom, still everything swollen. I said, no, I can't experience losing a child like this. So now we're in that room, and I finally collect myself, because now on all the relatives that have found out about what's happening are now starting to call my friends, Dorothy, don't cry before the baby dies. Be strong for the child. All those things. Yes, but now they're saying there's what's this thing? If your child is sick and you cry, you're inciting So now, each time I kept hearing those things, it kept me calm. So now I collected myself and finally went to ask the doctor, what is wrong? Now, between the time, I think there were like 10 minutes of me wailing without seeing what was going on. So now when I went back to have a look at Harvey, it was a different, now a worse Harvey. His hands had become like this, his limbs, he had coiled them, and the neck, that one had also. I said, this is not the child I had in the morning. So of course my heart sank, I'm wailing. I asked the doctor, so what is wrong? What disease is this? And she told me, Madam, there's no time for me to explain in detail. Just Google. She told me just Google. Cerebral palsy. No, she told me Google brain damage and canicterus. That's the word I was looking for. Google canicterus.
What's this now?
Wow.
Thank you. I was wondering, what is that? Okay, so now we finally get into the ambulance. That's when I get my phone to Google canicterus. What I saw broke my heart into pieces. Now, canicterus is a brain damage, of course. Now you read some, the advanced stages, some can't see, can't talk, can't eat. Then you Google further, it's saying permanent, like they're going, permanent disability. For me, that broke my heart. So when now in the ambulance, she's asking me, Madam, between IHK and Zambia, where should we go? She was kind enough to go with us. That's another thing I'm really thankful for. So I asked her, how come you're going with us? She said, this I can't leave a nurse to go with because he's having seizures. That's why you couldn't tell. I mean, that's why the cries were not loud. So it broke my heart. That's why I said, now, meaning he was having seizures right from morning. That's why the cries were not loud and I couldn't tell. So we went, so she told me, I told her, please take me where you recommend. She took us to Nsambia. She said, I'm going to take you to Nsambia because I think they'll give better care for him there. So we reached Nsambia and I think we reached now, it was 5 p.m. So now nurses are coming and she said, I'm not going to hand over this case to a nurse. Allow me hand over to a fellow pediatrician. I am forever grateful to her. So now a team of like 6 came. Who's the mother? So what happened? One is asking this, they've undressed him, a newborn. I'm thinking, let's cover COP. They're saying, no, we're not going to cover this child. The fevers are even high. He's having seizures. Now they kept pricking. He's not even responding at this point. So they, one of them finally tells me, Madam, please go out. We know you're the mother, but please give us space. We try to resuscitate the child. So now, as I was shutting the door behind me, I heard one of them shouting, because they're shouting at each other, bring this, bring that. Guys, I don't know who is going to do this, but one of you has to cancel that mother. This child is not going to make it. I turned behind. I said, no. If he's not going to make it, please, I'm not going to go anywhere. In fact, let me take pictures. Now, yes, I took those pictures. They mean the world to me because each time I look at them and see where we are, they are everything. So I got back in. Now I watched everything they were doing, no sign. Then they took us to the neonatal ICU. The whole night I did not sleep. I sat there looking because they had told it had now been engraved on top of what I had read that is not going to, of what had happened. I said, you know what, now let me sit here and watch it happen other than going to sleep and a nurse coming and saying, because they kept calling us by our children's names, Harvey! They shout in a huge room, Harvey! Harvey needs you, or Harvey! It has happened. I said, no, let me sit and watch it happen. So morning came. I was like, thank God. So when morning came, that's usually they have those hospital rounds as a team. They go child to child. So when they came to mine, they are looking at me with all these judgy eyes. How could you let your child get to this? They actually, one asked me, how could you let your child get to this? Couldn't you see that the eyes were yellow?
Yes. You know, you've been telling this whole story and being at the cradle, you hear so many parents come and tell you that my child has CP, but it presented as jaundice. Yes. And nobody, I was released from hospital. This is not the first story, this is not the second story, this is not the 5th story, this is like the 10th story of CP that I've had, where a mother will tell you and they find out later when the thing is so bad, then the doctors go like, but didn't you see that jaundice? Like, but I was in a hospital.
Exactly.
You should be asking me which doctor allowed me to live with my child presenting jaundice.
Actually, for me now that I've gone into awareness, I really want to partner with teams, foundations that can lobby highly, maybe with Uganda Medical Association. I also learned this later. Jaundice that presents itself before child makes 24 hours. Is extremely dangerous jaundice. Jaundice that presents itself maybe 3 days, 4 days, that's the jaundice you can put sunbathe, morning, evening, should clear. But even with that one, if you see it exceeding 5 days, ideally you should go to the hospital. So yes, for me it was a secondary cause of cerebral palsy. Sometimes this one also broke my heart. They had to cut off the umbilical cord. Remember, the cord is still on, it hasn't yet caused this. Then I asked, why do you have to go through there? I said, it's the main vein in a baby. So they cut it off and put, and they told me I won't have to be there. So for me, I just read about it. Then they made me sign consent because it's also a delicate procedure. Remember, they are drawing and putting in, so there's chance of clotting, and then the child can pass. Blood clot, child can pass. Lack of oxygen supply to the brain, further brain damage. You know, so it's, you have to really recollect yourself to accept. But I thank God, I think at the time I hadn't overly read. I was beautifully naive.
Your ignorance.
So I went through it with my beautifully naivety setting. So after I went through it is when I went back and said, you know, this shouldn't be happening to another person. And how is it going to happen? I have to be the voice so it didn't happen to another person. And so I asked the doctor, so, okay, how am I going to go through it? What does this mean? I know it's a brain damage. I've read that they're irreversible. So how do I move forward? And I remember she gave me the best advice. She told me, Dorothy, your child is going to come out, your child's coming out of this depends on you, the mother. How you're going to accept, how you're going to take care of you first in order for you to take care of him. And I said, okay. Also, I'm grateful to the fact that I have the most positive mother in the whole world.
Yes, she is.
You can
She
say that
will
again.
never see bad where there is actual bad. And I am always bothered sometimes, like you can't see.
Yeah.
But it has come to really, really help me. You know, that I really needed that psychosocial support. That akukantu katono. Like, you think? So I kept having that mentality. It did not come easily. It did not come easily at all, because I kept thinking, now my neighbors, I had to learn to accept. You know, a normal child will probably get out of the phase of waking up every, you know, it goes reducing. Maybe if they used to wake up 7 times a night, it goes
maybe 5.
Mine has not. There are times it has intensified, and you've even slept maybe an hour a night. So by morning you're really exhausted. It's so tough. So going through that exhaustion on a continuous, you really have to have a very strong psychosocial support system behind you.
For sure.
I keep telling people, mothers, because now I have a psychosocial support group as mothers of children with cerebral palsy. I keep, most of them have not accepted. So I keep telling them, what your child looks like is where your mental state and health is. Yes, if you're still in a daze, you haven't accepted, you're still, me, that child, we haven't slept for 3 weeks. It shows on your child.
It reflects on your child.
It reflects. Most times, if you're, because ours don't even put on weight very easily. For me, mine has dyskinesia, dyskinetic. It's not its effects are not as adverse as spasticity or those other, you know, types of cerebral palsy. So for it, also early intervention has
helped,
really done it for me.
Yes, yours was 3 days. So
Yes, so I also kept reading and searching on the internet options other than the normal English medicine. What else can I do? Like Chinese are ahead of us in treatment. Is there something I can do? Indians, Chinese, until I landed on some neurological facility along Entebbe Road. So we started him on this Chinese treatment, acupuncture. So now I started reading about acupuncture, and I saw that it has done a lot of wonders for us. It relaxes him, he sleeps a lot better. Of course, like any normal brain, if the brain does not rest, it does not recoup.
Yeah.
Now, for them, we have to put in a lot of work for that brain,
Yeah.
already damaged brain, you get?
Yeah.
Now, it takes a lot. It takes a mother who reads, researches, relearn and learn
Yes.
for you to put in the work. So I've had a lot of reading and researching, and you know, I try this, I try that for me to see, hey, this is working. So the acupuncture is working. I see he sleeps better. So we reduced on the lack of sleep that we used to go through, except when he has an infection.
Yeah.
And now that's how I will know. That's our language. I will know, he's failing to sleep. We were awake the whole of last night. There should be a problem. Even if I'm seeing no fever or maybe a flu coming, there's something coming.
Yeah.
There's an underlying factor. Otherwise, why is he failing to sleep? But now, so those telltale signs, I keep telling my mothers, give them time. The more you spend time with him, accept him, learn because someone yesterday was asking me, he doesn't talk, how do you understand he's hungry? But now, because regardless of whether he was talking, now he's starting to talk. He says mama, he's saying manti for auntie, he says jaja, but it hasn't come easily. And you see, he's 1 and 8 months, but it is just coming. So, but I understand him because I spend
time with him.
All my friends know, regardless of where I am, by 5:30, I am heading home to have my me time with Harvey. And I'll sit and guess what? So today, there's this group of ladies.
Wow.
They invited me. I educated them about you. You're laughing. Yes. Yeah. So
Absolute 311.
And I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it working, and he's mumbling when we go for speech. Because for me, I also keep going to reassess him. How are we via speech now?
Yes.
We've hit the 3-syllable mark, past the
Really
3-syllable.
impressive.
So for me, it's not your generic milestones for
No,
you typical
definitely not.
For me, I celebrate each and everything. Also because I'm putting in, I've invested time.
Yes.
You know, which most people do, most mothers, special needs mothers are not doing. But expect results when you're not investing. You know?
Dorothy, so obviously your life has changed. Could you just talk to us about how that has happened? Are you still working? What things have changed in your life apart from you being able to invest time in your
a lot has changed. A lot has changed. I before I had Harvey, I had an 8 to 5, and it made no sense for me to go back after, because I spent almost half of the first month of the 3 that we are supposed to have with them in hospital. So I said, now who am I going to teach how to care for this one? Meanwhile, I had to even teach him how to breastfeed. For me, I did not stop, regardless of whether they were saying you have the sac wasn't, it had gone. So I insisted, I read how should I stimulate it back, how goes back to early intervention. And I stimulated it. I kept putting him there regardless of
how he was latching.
Muscle weakness.
And it came. So he feeds orally. So there are so many things I've had to let go. I let go of the 8 to 5. I said now business. So selling children's clothes, it brought in money. Then later, then I'm writing a book. Because I remember when I was discharged from Zambia Hospital, I had that thing of, I'm not going to resign to this, to my fate. How can I educate myself on how to mother my child? There was no mother's experience. I wanted a mother's experience in a book, not a doctor. All of them are doctors. I said, now let me be the one to chronicle down my entire journey from day 1 to I'm still on it. I hope for it to come out next year, and I am so excited about it. Because the challenge, the most, in fact, when I get a new mother, I share with them the first year is the most difficult year. I didn't celebrate my daughter's first birthday. I'm like, what is that?
What is that?
I celebrated Harvey's because I told them each of those 12 months felt like a year.
Yeah.
So for me, when someone tells me, but your child is only 1 and 8 months, where is the experience? I'm like, actually that first, even when you ask those other mothers of older children, they're like, huh? That one is the one with the wisdom, you know? And virtue of the fact that I'm also willing to learn and relearn.
Yes.
I've had to teach myself while others in COVID, I was, for me, I kept thinking, no, Harvey is almost 2. 2 other people are taking their children to daycare centers, learning ABC. There should be something, play is therapy with us. I should be, maybe there are toys of ABC that have lights that
can
we can use.
Yes.
So I've been learning and relearning about various therapies.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily have to take to an occupational therapist. I can do it myself. Because guess what? It's also the best way they can learn if they're learning it from the mother.
Oh, Dorothy, so it's so clear that you're passionate about awareness and, you know, talking to moms, peer mentorship of other moms or other parents raising children with cerebral palsy. In what ways are you doing this? Are you helping? Are you giving a hand?
Okay, first and foremost, initially I was all about information. Give out as much information so that those that are online learn to read, research about their children's disability. So I opened up a page called Motherhood the Cerebral Palsy Way. From the group, I kept getting people reaching out, please mentor me on a one-on-one, please mentor me. How can I meet you? Show me how you're doing it. It seems easy for you. So I opened a WhatsApp group and I said, I'll give each one of these, I'll check on them on a one-on-one, but then now it went out of hand. I'm now in 126 moms. Yes. So I realized, there's a huge gap here. So now I no longer do the one-on-ones because unless someone has posted on the group and they seem to be in a very tight spot, that's when I actually reach out. There are several of us that of course are not employed, and so now I'm starting to tackle that financial self-sustaining part by linking them to people who have businesses, friends. I've used a lot of friends. If I know Pumla bakes really nice cakes and I know a mother on my group that is willing to learn how to bake, I tell Pumla, I don't have any money to pay you, but are you willing to teach my mother how to bake? And most of them, yes, have come out and helped. So for me, it brings me joy that I'm linking them to people, opportunities for friends that are starting out businesses. I always tell them, guys, first tap into me to post on my group if you can take them in. And when you take them in, I always also school them and tell them, when you take in my mother, be humane. Be humane. Know that there are days we wake up and my child went to bed fine, but now morning the leg is swollen. Or we went to bed fine, in the morning they are having a seizure. Give them a day off. Take them off having that. Take them on having that in mind. So for me, it has given me a lot of pleasure. That's why I'm getting a lot of, I always request for a lot of speaking opportunities at forums where I know these people have jobs that they would like to hire, like Rotary. Each time I tell them, I give a presentation, I end in my recommendations. Please hire us, tap into us. Each time if you have a business, tap into let me know first so that I share on our forum. If someone has what you need, take them on.
Yeah.
Credo, take on our mothers.
You know, it's so funny that you're saying that, because yesterday I was in a discussion where we were saying that India's biggest workforce is stay-home moms.
Interesting.
Because they are home, so they do a lot of admin work, virtual, PA work, a lot of freelance work is being done, because you're a professional in your, like before Harvey, you are still a professional, and that hasn't changed, but you're at home. So if someone needs a service or that you're a professional at, that is a great opportunity to be able to get someone who's...
So on my page, I've started those that have come out. I always make sure now that you're confident, I can post so that people tap into and buy your products or your cakes. So so it gives me joy that now I'm seeing we are moving the way that
Oh, well, thank you so much, Dorothy, for speaking to us today. Thank you as well for doing your part in the peer mentorship of mothers and fathers and caretakers as well of cerebral palsy victims. And thank you for doing a good job with your son and not giving up on little Harvey.
You're welcome.
And as we wrap up, we'd just like to take this opportunity to reach out to all the parents and all the caretakers who have children with cerebral palsy. And we'd just like to encourage you that there is help out there that you can seek. And if you can use this forum to reach out to us, and we will find through our experienced mothers going through the same experience, fathers going through experience, caretakers with experience to guide you on this journey. And while you take care of yourselves and your children, Prudential can also take care of you. And the best way that you know how to take care of your child is giving them a good education. To do this, sign up for a PruEduSave policy. Go to www.prudential.ug. Until next time, with love from Bump Love.